Hey everybody, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm waiting for my audience to come in, but I will begin speaking because for those who will watch the replay, I really hope everyone had a great week. I really miss you guys. We've been gone for a couple of weeks. I'm going to do my best not to ever be gone for that long of a time. I'm very excited about today's show. So if you are here, let me know where you are coming in from. Matter of fact, I want you guys to let me know if you have any prayer requests. You can DM me or you can call me. If you want to hear from me or anyway, just DM me. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Also, please, I would love for you to text the number that's scrolling across the screen so that you will know every time that we have a live show. You will get a text alert. So feel free to do that as well. But let me know where you're coming from, where you are. Like I said, I'm really excited about our guests. We've been playing phone tag or email tag for the past maybe 2 to 3 months. And so she has a wealth of knowledge that she's getting ready to bring. And we're going to introduce her a little later on the show. One of the things that I've learned, though, is that I have yet to deal with family wellness. We spoke on financial wellness. We spoke on relationship wellness. We have spoken on all these things, but we have yet to speak on family wellness. So I'm excited to bring someone in to touch on an area that I want to deal with the most. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I can't get my mom to leave the room. She has dementia, so please excuse her because she's going to be all over the place. So when we go into commercial, I'm going to do my best to kick her out. But I'm giving everybody a heads up so that if you hear a little old woman in the background, it won't startle you. It's my mom. With that being said, as you can hear, she probably started to talk already. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. All right. Sit back down in my seat because I just told her to get out. All righty. Hello, whoever the Facebook user is. Welcome. Like I said, please share this video so that we can get a lot of people engaged in talking, because this is a very, 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 very good topic to have, because it can be a divisive subject if you don't deal with it. We can't automatically think that we know how to co-parent, especially if you come into the world thinking, once I get married, I'm going to always be married, and then something happened. So that's why I'm excited about my VIP for her to come, and we just want to ask her questions. So it's not too late. I was able to get a few questions, so it's not too late for you to ask any of your questions, because she's here. That's her calling, her job, and that's her passion, is to help us. So I'm excited to have her here as well. I wanted to share that Wellness Wednesday, for those who don't know, was birthed during the pandemic. I believe that you can be well in every area of your life. It's all in the matter of the way you perceive and think about things. So if you're happy in one area, miserable in another area, then I want to know, how are you seeing or perceiving that area that's causing you not to be in a well state? So I like to bring in special guests, bring in VIPs that can share their testimonies, that can share stories, or that can share helpful hints that can help us become better in our lives, to live our lives in a well state. The Bible says, I wish above all that you will prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So with that being said, that means that he wants us to prosper in every area of our lives. So let me know where you coming from. Where are you? I'm trying to give more people time to come in. Like I said, please text the number that was scrolling. Let me put it back up. Text this number so that you can receive alerts whenever we go live. You will be able to join in. If you're on Instagram, Wellness Wednesday, we're there. If you're on Facebook, Wellness Wednesday, we're there. YouTube, we're here. Twitter, we're here. We're all over the place because we want you well. We want you well in every area. So with that being said, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. So we're going to get started in our meeting. On our show, we have our VIP, Diane. She's going to come and she's going to speak to us about co-parenting. I'm going to read her bio so we can learn more about her. Later on in the show, we have Ask Eunice. This young lady asked me, she's interested in this guy, but she's old-fashioned, but he hasn't made a move on her yet. And she want to know what can she do to make him notice her or to make him ask. Now, like I said, I am not a licensed therapist, or a relationship expert, but I have opinions, so I will be glad to share all of my opinions. But coming up next is World News. A lot went on today. Well, not today, but this week, a lot went on, and I don't want to deal with all of it, but some of it, I feel like, yeah, we just got to deal with this. So, first thing first, former President Donald Trump home was raided. Now, this is the part that I want to bring up. Not so much of his guilt, his innocence, what he did wrong, what he did right. This is the part that I want to deal with is these supporters that's trying and planning an attack on the FBI. So I don't know if you saw, but this one man, I believe is in Cincinnati, tried to enter the FBI building. I think he was armed and he ended up getting shot and killed. Then there was someone else that was arrested because a plot was unfolded that they planned to raid the FBI or any other officers or offices that's coming against Donald Trump. And then they warned us about what would happen if Donald Trump is arrested. This is the part that I want to talk about. You do not go after the FBI. I don't care how mad you are about their decisions. I don't care how much you love and support somebody. When it comes to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, you might want to sit down and stay down. You ain't gonna win. So to plan what are you gonna do to these FBI agents is ludicrous. It doesn't make sense. Let the justice system unfold. And if you're that big of a supporter, plan some peaceful protests, but do not plan to take out the FBI. It ain't gonna work. I got a lot of questions about the song and the feedback for Beyonce Church Girl, which I want to go fully in detail on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please go over to my YouTube channel. So Beyonce released a song and it's called Church Girl. And it's so divisive. So many people is like, oh, she sold her soul to the devil. Then you got so many other people like, I'm proud of her. She's saying what everyone wants to hear. Here's my take on it. And I'm going to go further in detail on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure why she titled it Church Girl. I don't understand that. And if you are going to put it as Church Girl, why not give us a clean version? So I'm not sure the profanity and the sexual energy. I'm just not sure about the tie-in of it all. You're saying, telling a church girl to be free. What are they in bondage to? What are they not free to? What's the message? I don't really get the message. So I'm going to hold what I actually think about it until I get to my YouTube channel. So if you can go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, but in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you think this went overboard and she sampled the Clark sisters song, but they all on board, they love to do it. So I don't know. So ASAP Rocky, he's the father to Rihanna's unborn child. At least I don't think she had a baby yet. He was indicted for he was charged with 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm with allegations of personally using firearm in connection with the shooting last year. Of course, he pled not guilty. The victim was a former friend who said that ASAP lured him to a secluded place, and I guess they got into an argument, and ASAP started shooting. My take on this: you're a grown man with a child on his way. You have to learn how to deal with conflict without using violence. And that's to everybody. There's a way to deal with conflict without resulting to violence. If you feel like you cannot, then find a professional therapist that can talk you through your anger issues. If someone gets you that mad that you want to get a gun and start shooting in an open place, then you need some serious counseling, and you have a baby on the way. So you have to be very careful. Hi, Tanya. How are you? Good to see you. So that is Mr. ASAP. And I want to pray for him. I don't want him to go to jail. He said once before that he is too pretty to go to jail. So I want to introduce my VIP, Diane Dierks. I didn't even ask her how to pronounce her last name. I'm sorry. You can you can correct me when you come on board. But she is a marriage and family therapist and executive director for the Center for Navigating Family Change, a nonprofit that provides court-ordered divorcing parents education and co-parenting services to high-conflict co-parents. She is also the co-host with Dr. Rick Boyles on their podcast, which is weekly, called Co-Parent Dilemmas, where they address listener questions about tough co-parenting issues. So I want everyone to get ready if you have a question, because 9 times out of 10, hi Dee, how are you? 9 times out of 10, you're either in a blended family or you know someone that's close to you that's in a blended family. My brother, he's married and both of them had children, so they brought the both of them in. So I've seen it, so I've seen it work, and I've had friends where I've seen it didn't work. So that's why I'm so excited to bring her on so that she can discuss with us, just provide some healthy, helpful hints. So do we have any questions? Because I want us to just ask her a bunch of questions so that when she leaves, she's like, oh God, they wore me out. So coming up next is our VIP.
Okay, so this is what cauliflower juice looks like. And then we're going to add in the cucumber and add in the sweetness from the pears. Now what I did was I separated the pulp out because I didn't want the pear pulp and the cucumber pulp to mix in with this. So from this pulp, we can actually just go ahead and use this as our cauliflower mashed potatoes. Finish juicing the pears, finish juicing the cucumbers, and I'll come back with our finished product. All right, our juice is ready. I did add 1 extra pear. So for this recipe, you're going to use 1 whole cauliflower. We added, I would say, about 3 to 4 pears and 1 whole cucumber. Now another thing that you can do is you can actually strain your juice. Any extra fiber left in there can come out. Look at that nice color. It almost matches my jacket.
All right. Diane, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Eunice?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining the show.
It's my pleasure.
We've been going back and forth in email. I've
I
scheduled
know.
you, had to reschedule. The last time I said it was my birthday, so I said, Diane, do you mind if we reschedule? And in my mind, I'm like, please say yes, please say yes. I felt like you was gonna say, I'm done. You reschedule me one more time.
No.
That's the ending of it.
Hey, if you're not busy, you're not successful, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I want you to introduce yourself to us and just kind of go through what you do, that's helpful for our audience.
Sure. Well, you did a good job of introducing me already. And so I think the focus I have now is more on my podcast. But for about 20 years, I've been head of the nonprofit, the Center for Navigating Family Change. And before COVID, we did a lot of education in the court for DeKalb, Fulton, Gwinnett, those metro Atlanta counties, where we would go in and teach the classes that most parents who have children have to take per their court order. And it was all in person. But then, what happened with COVID? This started to happen, right?
Right.
Everybody started to go to Zoom things, and so did we. So now we offer the class via Zoom for the whole state of Georgia. So we got really busy. I had to hire a lot of people to kind of help us out with that. So that's one sort of thing that I do. We also do parenting coordination work, work with high conflict co-parents. We have therapists and parenting coordinators that do that work. So at this point, I'm overseeing that. Then I moved to the beach. I'm down in St. Simon's Island now, overseeing that from afar. But my new venture is the podcast with Rick, and we're just having a ball with it. What we're doing is the same thing we've always done, working with co-parents, but we're answering listener questions. And I don't have to spend hours with them like I would normally in my old work. We just answer questions on the show, and we get feedback from people, and we're really enjoying it.
So when you say court appointed, are these the ones that there's no way that they can resolve it on their own, or
Yeah.
is it violence? Like, what make it court appointed?
Well, people end up going to court more than the court wants them there. And so the judge might get frustrated with someone and say, you know what, you need to figure this out. What we don't want is for a child to live his entire childhood or most of his childhood under the cloud of the court. And that
Yeah,
can easily happen if parents keep fighting. And we know the research tells us kids don't do well when they're under the microscope of the court for too long. So we want divorce to be a chapter in a child's childhood. We don't want it to be the whole novel.
that's right.
And
That's
so what the courts become concerned when parents keep coming back to court because they can't resolve their issues. So they get assigned a parenting coordinator, which is kind of like a coach that works with them, that is an alternative to litigation. Work with the parenting coordinator, come to some negotiation. They don't often do. If you've got two really difficult parents, sometimes they end up back in court, but at least the parenting coordinator can testify and tell the court what's happening. And
yeah.
that is good information for the court to find out so that they can make appropriate decisions around that.
I had a friend, and this is going to lead to the question I'm about to ask you. So I had a friend, her and her husband got a divorce. They shared custody of the child. They had their visitation, and the visitation was so weird. But it was like she had the child on Monday through Wednesday. He picked up the child from school like on Thursday and Friday. They split every other weekend, something like that. So one day she wanted to take the child shopping, but it wasn't her day to pick the child up from school.
Right.
He was with his mom. And he was like, nope, you can't do it. Nope, 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 nope. Because he was just that adamant against the mom, my friend.
Sure.
So what would you say is the main issue that you see between the two parents that's causing the biggest friction between them?
Well, I noticed in the comments here, Tanya asked, what if the ex
Yes.
is toxic? That's the
I was
main
about
issue that
that
we
up.
deal with. A lot of our listener questions have to do with a toxic ex. Someone who, no matter how you try, they're going to try to figure out a way to hurt you. So it becomes about the old relationship more than it does about what's good for the children. And if you have an ex who is toxic or narcissistic or has some sort of personality disorder, they actually enjoy the chaos, right? So what Rick and I try to teach parents is how to think differently about their situation, how to set boundaries. We teach people how to do an email protocol that they talk to each other once a week, only on email. Even if the toxic parent refuses to do it, we encourage the parent who's not toxic to continue to do that anyway, so that you can be the co-parent you're supposed to be per the court order, but you don't have to entertain all of the text messages that you get or all of the bad behavior. You don't have to absorb that into your life. You can set that boundary because, judges want to see that somebody can be rational.
Right.
But if you allow the toxic person to get you to be irrational with them, you just both look crazy.
Right.
And then they end up in parenting coordination. And we often have to work with the parent who's not toxic to teach them how to respond to toxicity, so that at least if they end up back in court, they appear to be the rational parent. And we also want the kids to see that at least one of their parents can be rational.
Yeah.
It takes great habit forming to be able to do that. So that's kind of how we focus clients to think differently about their situation. You are not who they say you are. And you have to know clearly what your own values are and live those out even when you're communicating with your ex.
That's right. You mentioned something in our when we was talking, that to kind of consider it as a business relationship. You won't speak to your boss like that. You're not going to call your boss in the middle of the night and hang up or cuss them out. So it's almost like you say, you change your position of it. And it's sad because, like Dee says, it's really so unfair that the children, because the children are in the middle of it. I've seen some parents that really use that child as a fighting bait, and the child can't show too much love to the mom because then the dad is mad. Too much love to the dad.
Well, we know research tells us that kids really need one parent that can be their stability and their security and their emotional safety for them. And we talk a lot about that on the show, that even when the other parent puts them in the middle, there's so much you can do to take them out. And they don't need the other parent to change for you to do that. They need for you to not participate and for you to know how to talk to them about being in the middle. And so we talk quite a bit about that. Yeah. As far as getting angry that you have a toxic co-parent, I mean, don't expect a divorce what you didn't get in marriage. Wow. So the reason you left them is probably because they were toxic, or maybe they left you and you were glad they did because they were toxic. But when you have children, it connects you. So you have to manage your expectations. You knew they were toxic probably when you got a divorce, and they're going to continue and maybe even be more toxic because there's no longer any accountability between you.
Right.
They used to maybe manage their own behavior a little bit because they wanted something from you in the marriage, right? Dinner or sex, but now that
they don't want to no more.
Now that they don't need anything
it's
from
free
you. Exactly. They have no motivation to manage their own behavior. So it oftentimes gets worse. But if you understand that and take accountability for that, okay, this is who I chose to father or mother my children, then you have to then deal with it head on and really focus on the kids.
I like what you said earlier about even if that person is toxic, you deal with the person that is seeking help to teach them how to manage it, how to be a better person. So it sounds like you're pretty much saying the onus is now on you. You can't expect something from someone else because you might not get it. And if that might lead to another part of an unhealthy relationship. Sure. What happens though if the parents, you can't get through to them and they keep coming back to court? Do you guys offer anything for the child, like any type of mediation for the child?
We don't. We work with children only in situations where there's estrangement due to parental alienation or something like that. But we definitely refer them out to child therapy or play therapy, depending on the ages of the children. But what I tell parents, I used to see children in my private practice, and I tell parents that they can do what I do for their children. Wow. And so I would spend a lot of time working with the parents to teach them how to respond to their child. You just have to understand it from a child's point of view in order to know what to say. So, for example, the child comes home and tells you something that happened at the other parent's house. If you overreact and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing that, your child will learn pretty quickly, don't tell mom anything.
Don't tell mommy, yeah.
But if you focus on their feelings and say, I'm sorry, tell me about what happened. And then they tell you, and then you help them work through what the issue is about that. Why is that bothersome to you? We call it whack. You ask something about their worry, afraid, or concern. We
Yes.
you know,
Say that again. All my admins, Carly, D, Tanya, you guys put that in the comments. Say that again. What does whack mean again, Diane?
asking your children, what are you worried, afraid, or concerned about? Use one of those words in your question when your child is showing some sort of negative emotion. And they'll usually say, well, dad said he's not going to buy me those shoes because he pays you child support. And you can get all upset and defend that and say, that's not true, or you can say, oh, I'm sorry, that makes sense that you were told that, that you would be upset about that. So why does that bother you? Why are you worried about that? Why are you concerned about that? And what's a child going to say, especially a teenager? I just want to get my shoes. Like, why do I always have to go back and forth? And then the rational parent can say to the child, don't you worry about it. You will get your shoes. But that's an issue between your dad and I. That would be
Right.
golden to that teenager because he doesn't want to be in the middle of this conflict.
Right. So you're talking about worried, afraid, or concerned. You guys, not the K, it's WAC.
Yeah, there's no K. We're not talking about killing anybody. We're just saying where it's a way to remember those three words. Use one of those three words. So when a child comes to you and reports something about the other parent, take off your wounded spouse hat, put on your parenting hat, and instead of thinking about your own feelings or you're upset about what they just said, ask a question with one of those three words in it.
I love it. What are you worried, afraid, or concerned? And that way you can be, that way they won't, because most of the time, like you said, they're waiting for your reaction so that they'll have their reaction. So if you get mad, there was this video that I just absolutely broke my heart. It was a co-parent. The baby went to with the dad, and his girlfriend got her hair braided. When he dropped her home, the mom took scissors and cut the braids out.
Oh.
And I said, if I had money, I will hire you the best attorney there is so you can get your child back permanently. I'm glad that WAC helps the child to have some sense of safety and healthy and like, okay, it's okay you have those feelings. I'm just going to talk it through so you won't feel like you got to hold.
And what will happen, Eunice, is they'll come back and talk to you about other things, and you want your kids talking to you. They'll decide not to talk to you, and sometimes they'll throw out a trial balloon. Hey, Mom, Dad's gonna bring his girlfriend to Six Flags with us on Saturday. And why would they tell you that? They're trying to figure out, let's see how Mom reacts so I know whether I'm allowed to talk about so-and-so. And so you have to be very aware that they're sensitive to your reactions, and you have to practice. It's just one of those things you have to get with a friend if you're too emotional and practice this so that when your kids come to you, and use a hat too, take off the wounded spouse hat or the wounded relationship
and put on the concern.
Put on that parent hat, which says, this is about my child, not about me in the moment. And that can be, those can be good reminders.
I love it. Carly said their behavior deserves a whack.
Yeah, exactly. So however you want to think about it.
We had a question that came in. Let me find it. So this person asked, what if you're trying to get along with the other parent, but you disagree with the discipline of the child? I guess the way they discipline the child. Do you guys deal with that as well?
All the time, but you have to remember the standards of the court are always going to be lower than your standards. So you might not like that your child is being spanked, but in the state of Georgia, spanking is not a crime. Wow. So, you may call DFACS and they may come and investigate, but there are levels of spanking, right? Does this spanking leave bruises, marks, break the skin? Then you might have a different issue. Right. So my advice always is keep a journal. of what your child says. Don't have your child be the spy or make them report to you. But if they come home and tell you something concerning, then write it down in the journal. That seems a little bit off. My
Yeah.
co-parent is making my child do push-ups as a punishment. All right. And then they come home the next week and say, they're doing 100 push-ups. Now, wait a minute. That seems
Yeah.
extreme. And
Right.
then maybe
Right.
a few weeks later, they say something like, the dad wouldn't feed me for punishment. And the more you start seeing a pattern, the more you might likely have a case. And then you might decide you need to go talk to your attorney. But quite frankly, you might not like a lot of things that happen in the other house. But
Right.
once you're not living together anymore, you really can't control that unless it's a true safety issue,
Right. Right. Okay, we have one. How about in-laws who are overly possessive and interfere? I know
Boy.
they deal with the parents, so I don't know
Yeah.
if they deal with the in-laws.
How much time do you have? I think this is a shorter show than that.
And we'll have to bring
Well,
Diane back for that
the
topic.
the rule is, if it's your parent, especially in married couples, your parent, your problem, right? So, if the parents or the in-laws are infiltrating on the marriage, it's up to you to set a boundary. Marital couples have to set boundaries because actually extended family issues are one of the 5 main causes for divorce. So
Right.
it is a problem. But once you divorce, not your job to protect or to ensure that your child gets time with their in-laws. If you want your kids to have time with your parents, you do that on your time. You can't expect the other parent to give up time for that. And if they're intruding on you, that's easy. You just don't answer their emails, you don't answer their phone calls. Now, they may be saying bad things about you to the children and you want to address that, but you can't control that. Anybody can say bad things about you. And you teach your child that, words hurt, but it's behavior that really matters.
Yeah.
And so we always say, tell your children, judge me by what you know about me, not by what you hear about me. And that's a great lesson in life.
I love
Don't
it.
just judge a friend because your other friend said something bad about them. Get to know that friend first. And when you treat it that way, kids will really do that. They'll look at you and go, mom said dad had blue hair, but every time I'm around dad, he has brown hair. So I think mom might be wrong. And that's a silly example, but that's really how it works.
I love it. I love it. I hate that I have to let you go. Um, Tell us how we can reach you. Tell us about your podcast and where we can find it.
We release every Sunday at noon. We have weekly shows and they're about a half hour long. We answer a listener question every week that we think is relevant to most of our audience. cpdilemmas.com. That's how you can get to it, or just find us on Apple or Spotify or any platform where you listen to podcasts. It's Co-Parent Dilemmas. And if you want to answer a question, it's 1234dilemma@gmail.com.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Diane. It was so worth chasing you. And thank you for being so patient with me.
Oh, not a problem. Thanks for having me on the show, Eunice. I've had
I
a
would
lot of
love
fun.
to bring you back very soon. You will be a friend to the show. And we're gonna please make sure we subscribe to her podcast and listen, show her support. She's very friendly. I love her. She's my friend.
Thank you, Eunice.
Thank you. Have a good
It's
one.
been a pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Oh, I love it. I love it. So awesome segment. Yes, it was. I love it. So we have a question. She want to know how can she this lady, she said she's interested in somebody, but he ain't interested in her. So she want to know what can she do about it. We're gonna answer that real quick. Alrighty, so I'm not the best person to answer this question for you, but I always believe that go for it. Now, I don't think that you should initiate a date with this man. I don't think you should initiate a sexual encounter with this man. Men are hunters. So if they don't feel like they got to work for it, 9 times out of 10, they will not maintain, that desire for you. You know, it kind of fades out if they feel like you came at them. So, but there's nothing wrong with being friendly. There's nothing wrong with a smile. You don't want to be thirsty, so you don't want to get around this man jumping up and down and, you know, being the loudest in the room. But I don't know. I heard Tony Gaskin say, as long as you get in front of him, like let's say he's standing right here and you walk around to the vending machine. If a man is interested, this is what Tony Gaskin say, and he sees you, he will make a move towards you. So this guy that I follow, he said the best man to find a man is to stop looking. So if this guy's interested in you and he see you, he will make a move for you. If he don't, baby girl, you are beautiful. You are a queen. The right one will approach you. So that's my take on that. That's how I believe on it. So I want to thank everyone for coming in, especially Diane, my VIP. I love what she says. If you're co-parenting, your focus is you. You cannot control what that other person is doing. I love the way she gave us the whack. Ask your child, what are you worried, afraid, or concerned about? And then I love what she said, don't expect in divorce what you didn't get in marriage. So please reach out to her on her podcast. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week for Wellness Wednesdays. That's right. Stop looking. If that man gonna show up sooner or later. All you got to do is get busy doing what God has called you to do. That does not mean that you don't desire it. That does not mean that your mind is on it. What that means is you're not chasing it. You're not getting depressed because it hasn't happened to you yet. God got somebody for you. I believe that. And it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen sooner than you think. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.